What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to Salty Runback, here to be your weekly intake of North American Developmental League of Legends. We did it. It is time for the grand finals of the LCS Challengers League. By the time we see you next on, I believe, next Wednesday, we will have an NACL champion crown, and the promotion tournament will be getting underway. We also have to talk about the qualifier finals. Congratulations, CCG, for making it all the way into the promotion tournament. We got that. LCS finals, NACL finals. It's just championships galore here in North America. My name is Grapes. I'm joined alongside Hawk for episode 45 of North America's best League of Legends podcast, of course. Hawk, how are you doing?
Grapes, I'm doing great. It's a birthday episode.
Yes.
By the time this podcast
Happy
releases...
birthday, Hawk.
Yeah. By the time this episode releases, it won't be my birthday anymore. But at time of recording, it is about 30 minutes before I go and have a great dinner. So I'm having a good day, you know? It's been a work day, but I've actually felt really productive. And we've got some fucking awesome League of Legends this weekend. Because, again, LCS Finals weekend is coming up, and then we have NACL Finals into promotion tournaments. So it's basically like back-to-back-to-back banger League of Legends, some of the highest stakes we've had. So it's going to be a great time.
Yeah, I know we say it a lot. I said it already, and stuff like that, but Hawk, greatest partner we could ever ask for here, and hope you have a great birthday, and hope you already did have a great birthday.
It's been going well. It's been going well. 23 is treating me all right so far.
Yeah. We had a lot of fun this week. Shout out to everyone who tuned in to our Twitch channel to watch the NACL Qualifier Finals. It was a great time.
That was fucking awesome.
I was really happy with how that broadcast ended up going. And make sure to stay tuned to that Twitch channel, because we're going to have some more stuff coming with CLOL playoffs coming up. But before we end up doing that, Hawk, let's get into the headlines, because there is a lot to talk about here this weekend. The biggest story, of course, being Maryville University losing in the first round of the NACL playoffs as the 2 seed and going on the losers bracket run to end all losers bracket runs. A lot of wins this week, but 2 of them in best of 5 fashion. Hawk, which win for MU was the more impressive to you? The reverse sweep over Disguised, or the 3-0 win over Team Liquid Challengers?
And this one really depends on what your definition of impressive is. Because, if you're looking at, the most, statement win or whatever, I think it's probably TL. But, dude, more impressive win has to be the 5-game banger against DSG, where they probably should have won the first 2 games, should have lost the 3rd game, and then ended up reverse sweeping the whole thing anyway. It was, the most ridiculous series I've ever seen. And this team played 3 series. I think they played,
maybe
10 games of League of Legends that weekend, right?
So. Yeah.
Because they had the 2-0 over Fear, 3-0 over TL, and then the 5 against DSG. Yeah, they played 10 games of League. This is in the middle of, the gauntlet for them. We had a headline last week about, who comes out in this pack in the lower bracket. And lo and behold, it's Maryville. Now they're in the grand finals. And I think the one over DSG is, when they won that game 5, I don't know, I just had this feeling of, that team looks unstoppable now because they somehow managed to pull it back from the brink.
Yeah. I mean, I was super glad that we got that rematch. I remember last week's episode, we said, man, I really hope DSG and Maryville make it through so we can watch a repeat of that series. And boy, did it deliver. What a night that was. If you were just watching some games, DSG.
Fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, some crazy, crazy games. Maryville, if they want to win the NACL, they will have beaten half of the teams in playoff series in order to make it. They would have gone through Supernova, Fear, Disguise, TL, and then FlyQuest. That is 5 out of the 10 teams.
Crazy.
5 out of the other 7 teams in the bracket, which is absolutely absurd. This team is crazy, honestly, and I thought the win over DSG was also very impressive because DSG was also looking pretty damn strong.
They were hot. Yeah.
Yeah, I was honestly, after their win over AoE, which I know went 3 games, but I was really impressed with specifically what we saw out of the top side of the map for Disguise going into this last week of games. After they took those first 2 games, I really thought, okay, DSG, they're gonna flip the script. They're gonna have the Patreon buff on their side, and they're gonna make it all the way to the finals once again. But then Maryville, just to have the mental to come all the way back. I know that is not something that they would have been able to do a year ago with this roster, and it's very impressive and indicative of their growth so far.
I agree. I feel like that series just says the most about this MU team to me, because think old MU teams would mental boom a little bit. So shout out to that team for sticking in there and really really fighting to the end and now being where they are. Dude, I don't know how fitting it is because they were the second seed out of regular season, but like someone's got to make the Grim Reaper meme with Maryville now because
they're going to run out of doors.
Dude, they are going to run out of doors. The meme only has room for like what, 3 or 4 teams?
Yeah.
Dude, they've already taken some souls. Also, the last point on this series. So the funny thing is, I was at the Castor Cabana, which for those that don't know, this is where Dusterox, Mazel, and Kangas live. And I was playing Warhammer against London, and we had like the game on the big screen. But we hear Steve like screaming in his room the whole time we're playing Warhammer, like watching the series in the background. And so that's funny for that reason. And Steve comes out of his room like totally brain fried from casting a full best of 5, right? Like crazy ass games, and played against me in Warhammer after. He's to go for that, and I got my first ever win. So huge stuff coming. Shout out DSG and Maryville for playing a long enough series to fry that man's brain enough for me to beat him in Warhammer 40k.
All it took was the most chaotic best of 5 in the NACL season.
Yeah.
It was crazy, to allow you to get the mental edge.
Yeah,
it's really funny.
But no, it was overall that series was crazy though. So shout out Maryville.
I do want to say. The TL series was also very impressive from MU. Not specifically because it was a 3-0 against a team that made it to the upper finals, but also just because TL were ahead by a lot in those first 2 games specifically. Both of the early games, it looked like they were about to run away with it.
And they were just ahead in game 3 too. I mean, they weren't super far ahead. They were ahead in all 3 games. They had leads. Yeah.
And I know we always associate Maryville with being this big early game team that like they're just going to blitz you from the start. They're going to win games that way with like their dominant laning and with Yuji going crazy in the jungle. But being able to like kind of settle in, take that punch and actually come back 3 times in a row against Team Liquid.
And again, very, very you want to talk about strong mental too. Yeah, I mean Maryville, I think the takeaway is that they had a damn impressive weekend.
Yeah, they kind of got the plot armor right now. I don't know. Like FlyQuest, they've looked a little shaky. They almost lost to Fear, almost lost to AoE. Who knows? I mean, I know they're in the upper bracket. We'll talk about this actually now as we head into our next headline here. But what a finals it's going to be this Monday. It's not the way that we would have expected the bracket to go. But at the end of the day, Hawk, I think we both had FlyQuest and Maryville in our finals. So our playoff brackets, not looking so bad. It's like in March Madness where you get everything in the first round wrong, but then you get your final 4 right, and you end up winning the whole thing. Yeah. So vibes are looking good for us.
Dude. Hoping my March Madness bracket does the same thing, by the way, because yeah. No. Anyway, sorry. You could probably read the question. I don't think we've actually.
Rest in peace, Kentucky, for me, but the rest of them are still intact. Anyway,
I got all 4 of mine, baby. Let's go. I picked. No, I didn't pick Oakland, dude. That one guy is crazy. Anyway, okay, no more basketball. Yeah, we'll move on. But
all right, NACL Finals at the LCS studio this Monday. What is the biggest X factor in this matchup between FlyQuest and Maryville?
I'm gonna keep it short and sweet. It has to be the junglers, right? Like UG against Shaden. I feel like it has to be the answer to this question because even though there's a lot of parity between these 2 teams, and I think these teams have proven that they can win through anywhere. I feel like UG and Shaden are where so much starts for their teams. And when I was talking to Sajed earlier today, can be in part 2 of the episode, by the way. I won't spoil too much, but he was like, it's criminal that Shaden's 3rd team. And I'm like, well, dude, it was hard to pick between him, Kenvi, and UG. And it just feels to me like these are the 2 players that, like, one of them running over the other could really dictate these games.
That's a very good point. UG, formerly of FlyQuest alongside SpireX, I'm sure they're happy to hopefully get some revenge against Shaden and Quad. Mid jungle, I think, is another really good answer. Like just how those 2 players are going to interact with each other all game, but the junglers specifically. Agreed. I feel like Shaden kind of taking a step back because he has some of the stronger laners, and I think that is why perhaps he has gone a little bit more unnoticed throughout this season compared to someone like Yuji, who's been really great at facilitating. But the way that these 2 players have been able to operate the map and set up for their lanes, very, very impressive, and I'm excited to see that. Bot lane also going to be big. I think these are our first and second All-Pro ADCs according to what the official community vote was. Not our specific All-Pros because we had, I think, a different rating. But Sajed versus Scary Jerry, 2 bot laners that wanted to make a big jump. And I think did so admirably in their in Sajed's first split and Jerry's second split in Tier 2. I think that's going to be pretty important as well.
Yeah. I mean, I think I think any lane can be the X factor in any given game, and I think that's what makes this series so exciting because we've got a lot of carries, right? Anybody can carry on the Rift on both these teams. But it just feels to me like if you're expecting top side to be a little bit FlyQuest favored, bottom side to be a little bit Maryville favored, I think these junglers going to matter so much. But I mean, like we've been saying, I think it's going to be a really exciting finals. I would say FlyQuest maybe is the favorite, but Maryville, I mean, has clearly fought through some demons to get to this point and carries all across the Rift and a lot of really talented players that I think have bright futures ahead of them. So it's going to be a great clash.
You want to know another X factor? This is not a player specifically. We're going to be on the LCS stage, and that is something that some of these players haven't had experience of doing. Sajed specifically, I think, has not played on that stage before, if I'm remembering correctly. Everyone else, I think, has either been in a Tier 1 region or has played on the LCS stage in some capacity. So we'll see if the nerves end up getting to some of these newer players.
I'm actually thinking about it. Like, Maryville probably has more recent... Well, I guess Shaden and Surdy both have the NACL Finals from last summer, so maybe not.
Well, Shaden was in LCS alongside Chime.
Oh, you're right.
Surdy was in NACL.
Right, and then Surdy was in it. Yeah, I keep forgetting that Shaden played in LCS at the NLS split. I think I did this on the last episode.
That subbed in,
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I guess a lot of people do have that stage experience, but that is a good point. Like, that can really change a lot. And apparently, according to Angie, she tweeted earlier today that NACL Finals is almost sold out, so... It's pretty cool.
Make sure to buy some tickets. $5, I believe it is. I don't know if by the time this episode comes out, they would have been sold out or not. But you know what will be sold out this weekend, Hawk? It's LCS Finals weekend. Because that's also happening in the same spot that the NACL Finals will be happening one day after. Now, of course, there's the third place, or the qualifier match for the finals between, I believe it's Cloud9 and Team Liquid. And the winner of that will play FlyQuest in the grand finals at the LCS studio. And interestingly enough, Hawk, a ton of North American prospects who have made their way to finals weekend. You could talk about APA and Jan over on Team Liquid. You can discuss, of course, the bottom lane of MVPs and Masu and Busi over on FlyQuest. And hard to forget, easy to forget sometimes, I think, but Jojo Pyun also in the mid lane here for Cloud9. So out of all of these
Blabber, if you really want to toss it back even further, too.
Exactly,
Vulcan, did he come through scouting grounds?
Sure, he was on Academy at some point.
He probably was there at some point, yeah.
Out of all those players, though, who's the most important NA prospect for this finals weekend?
I mean, I think all of them are going to be really important because what's been so cool about this LCS split is I think the LCS, like the NA players, have been the strongest points of their teams. I mean, there's definitely an argument to be made for Bwipo and Inspired's performance on FlyQuest. Don't get me wrong, and I don't want to like discount those players. But FlyQuest bot lane has been brilliant. Team Liquid, Jan in particular, is on a fucking tear these playoffs. He looks like Jackie Love. And then, I mean, I think Blabber and JoJo in particular have been the best performing members on Cloud9 throughout the entire split. So I just think that's so exciting, seeing all this NA talent pop off. I think the obvious answer for this is Jan. He has to continue to go Super Saiyan, I think, if Team Liquid is going to have a chance against Cloud9. And especially against a Cloud9 bot lane that has struggled a little bit, if him and Core JJ can pop off the way that they have been, then this is going to be fucking awesome.
Yeah, answer very clearly Jan for me as well. This guy has gone crazy in the postseason. I feel like we've been waiting for that moment of Jan like really stepping up and being the player that we saw in Academy, in Proving Grounds all these seasons. And hey, shout out to him. He's doing incredible so far in the postseason. I feel like really stepped up when it mattered most. You know, the other answer could of course be APA with his all chatting shenanigans. See how much
the mental edge, right?
I know this is an LCS podcast, so we don't have to talk about this too much. But the all chat battle between JoJo and APA is going to go fucking crazy, and I cannot wait. And I hope the broadcast goes hard into that throughout this entire best of 5.
I hope the players lean into it too. Like, I hope they don't take the match super seriously, because this is for MSI as well as like grand finals, right? So like I would understand if the players took it really seriously, but like I hope they lean into it too, just because from an entertainment perspective, like I think we talked about this on the last episode of the podcast, if I'm not mistaken. We went off on a tangent, dude. If you think APA all chatting, like regardless of how good you think he is or how bad you think he is, like he should do it. Like I don't. Shut up. So you're stupid if you think he should stop chatting and like learn to play League or whatever. Like fuck off. It's funny and like he's just being himself, you know? And anyone that knows APA knows that guy grinds regardless of how much he chats. So, nah, he's just being cool and yeah, I think that'll be a lot of fun as well.
Yeah. Yeah, but shout out to Jan. I think he's played really well. I'm excited to see him against Masu again potentially because that was a very fun best of 5.
Dude, if we get to see the LCS bot lanes back, if Team Liquid and FlyQuest are playing another best of 5, I will not complain because that was crazy,
incredible. I'm super excited. LCS Finals, I feel like it's actually going to be very close. The top 3 teams looking very solid and very close to each other, which is not something I would have actually said at the start of the season with Team Liquid kind of entering that mix. But we'll see. I'm actually pretty much looking forward to it. And hey, right after that, NACL Finals, right into the promotion tournament, baby. So there is no days off for the next 8 days starting on Saturday. Let's go on to our next headline as we start talking about the qualifiers. And congratulations to CCG Esports, who took a 3-0 win over Ole Miss in the grand finals of NACL Qualifier 2. That locks them into the number 1 seed from the qualifiers and puts Ole Miss down to 4. Blue Otter and Winthrop, who both lost in the semis, are locked in at 2 and 3 and will be playing each other in round 1. CCG, though, Hawk, with their newfound roster, have not even dropped a single map. It's been close a couple of times with some heroic base defenses by Bradley, Honorelli, and Soul, but they haven't lost just yet. Who's going to be the first team to do it?
It's been close more than a few times, if I'm being honest. They've had some close calls, and I'm going to give like the dumbest answer ever. I think that there's no answer for who's going to do it, but I don't think CCG goes the promotion tournament without dropping a game. I think someone will finally pull one over on them, but like I can't tell you who it is because I think that CCG is the number 1 favorite right now going into promotion. So like that is going to be my take for this question, and I hope that's an acceptable answer.
Could have done better. It's all right though. I think they've looked really strong. I think the most impressive thing to me about this team is how they've been able to like soak up these deficits and some of the mistakes that they make in the early game and just outplay macro wise and in terms of their team play later on. Yukino had a great finals, and the late game the sequences from this guy were very impressive in the grand finals, and also one of the only qualifier teams that knows how to side lane seemingly, which is impressive.
That's the main thing, is that CCG understands how to play on waves and timers better than any other team. That's how they beat Ole Miss in the grand finals. Ole Miss almost pulled out game 2 just because of like some insane heroics from Shogo and Rhino. I mean, they did not want to fucking lose that game. But yeah, I think Yukino had a great grand finals, and CCG just like understands timers. Like that's how they beat Winthrop. Winthrop didn't set up as well, and it's like that's one of those things where it's like, damn, these Winthrop players are all really good. They clearly could go toe to toe. I mean, Mobility was dropping a nuke in that game 1, dude. Like he was outplaying Instinct and Trevor, right? But it doesn't matter because CCG was like, and I don't even want to say they have better teamwork because they make a lot of mistakes, but their overall fundamentals are just more solid.
Yeah, got to listen to some of their scrims that they were playing against like the Dante's team a couple of days ago, and it seems like Yukino and Trevor are the big shot callers, which was the big take, which was basically the only takeaway I had from watching that, honestly. The rest of the gameplay, not so much, but they seem to do a good job in terms of figuring out what to do. Again, having 2 backdoor victories like that, once in the semis, once in the grand finals, off of just Bradley side laning, just shows that this team is above the rest of the qualifiers in terms of how they play macro. And so I don't think it'll be Ole Miss, because they're going to play each other again. That team is goddamn cursed against CCG. They've lost 5 straight.
Surely they're due, right? Like, they've come so close in 3 of them.
My take is if CCG, or if Ole Miss are going to make the promotion tournament, it'll be through an insane lower bracket run. And so that is going to be my takeaway from this. I think they'll probably lose to CCG again. And if they do end up playing CCG again, maybe they do end up winning.
Okay.
But my vote, as we should probably move on, is Mirage Alliance, because they're going to be playing against them afterwards, and they got some good pieces to match up.
That's a totally reasonable vote. I'll give you a counter take. I think if Uncle Sam and Icelandic are able to get past whatever mental block they had in the finals, Ole Miss will take a game. I think they will, because I think Shogo and Rhino are clearly the better bot lane. For as good as Instinct and Trevor have been playing, I mean, it's Shogo and Rhino. And Stray had a great series as well. I mean, I don't think he did a lot, but he did his job. And it really was the mid jungle. I think they had a mental collapse. It honestly did not even seem to me like they were that outplayed. Sure, Uncle Sam struggled a little bit at containing Bradley, but like it's Bradley, right? Yeah. But it felt to me like a mental thing. And so I think if they can get over whatever that was and lock in for promotion and not be bogged down by nerves, I think Ole Miss has the tools to take a game, and they will. So that'll be my take. I'll get spicy there.
Shout out to Marty, man. Got that solo kill.
That's true. He did solo kill Bradley.
He got the solo kill.
I don't know how many mid-laners in the tournament can say they did that. That's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
I think Marty played fine.
Yeah, I see your argument there, where the mid jungle did not step up where like they did throughout the postseason run that Ole Miss had, and so could end up being a factor there. Last thing, real quick, about the qualifiers. Are you worried at all for Blue Water or Winthrop after getting 2-0'd?
That's a good question, actually, because I am not like, I think they could both easily promote, right? I think everyone could promote. I really do. I guess my issue, Blue Water, I'm honestly not worried. I think getting 2-0'd by Ole Miss, while like not great, was not an unexpected result necessarily either. Winthrop, I'm honestly concerned about like similar like mental blocks. This team seems to be struggling in high pressure situations, and I hope they were able to figure out whatever that is going to promotion, because I would be really sad to not see this team playing in the NACL, because I think on paper they should be better than I think they're a promotion team. Like if I were to power rank, it should be CCG, Winthrop 1-2, if you ask me. But it's tough, though, because I think Winthrop has struggled to close in some big series. So, yeah, I would actually say I'm a little bit worried for them.
Not to spoil exactly what my opinion is about like promotion. We'll get into that next week. But I think the only thing that we figured out this weekend is that CCG is promoting, and we got to figure out who the other team is. They look very, very strong.
They are probably the best.
Yeah. Let's go on to our last headline, as we had some fun over on our last episode of Tier 3 tonight with our NACL Qualifier Awards. Congratulations to Shogo, to Sam and to your Uncle Sam for winning the MVP, the Rookie of the Split, the Most Improved Player. We also had our All-Pro votes come out, and we, of course, polled ourselves as well as some community streamers who helped out, and some players and staff on the NACL qualifier teams. And a lot of chalk, I think, is the safe thing to say. Out of all the All-Pro teams, every single player was a part of one of the teams that's in the promotion tournament now. What that means is there is a quote-unquote fourth team of all the players that are in the promotion tournament that did not make it into an all-pro ballot, and we have so graciously and kindly called them the all-backpack team. Go through them real quick. It's Lawrence, Icelandic, your Uncle Sam, Instinct, and Trevor. Now, they all finished in the top 6 of all-pro voting, but I don't know what the question was, Hawk. I just thought
there's not a question. It's really just funny. Like, we're kind of flaming the players a little bit, but like, it is worth noting, I guess, that like this would not be what the fourth team actually is. If you want to look at the full voting, we're going to put it on social media somewhere. You can click on the spreadsheet. It is really, I don't think we're going to edit the spreadsheet. I think we're just going to share the spreadsheet as it is. So you can look at the spreadsheet and how ugly it is. But you could see all the votes from everyone. So yeah, this would not necessarily be the fourth team, but there are like the odd ends of their respective roles, which I just think is so funny among promotion teams. I mean, it is funny when you look at this team: Lawrence, Icelandic, Uncle Sam, Instinct, and Trevor. This is like a team that we would still expect to contend for semifinals in qualifiers, right? Like, we call them the all backpack team, but like, this very easily could still be a promotion caliber team. Would they be a shoe-in? I don't think so. But like, yeah, I don't know. It's really just funny banter, and like, I think a good way to recognize like these players, I guess. I don't know.
It's an indication of the fact that all 4 of these teams are the 4 strongest teams going into the promotion tournament.
Yes.
And that only the players on the top 4 teams made it onto an All-Pro, either first, second, or third. There was no outsiders, although Hawk and I obviously both a little upset about Cryer not getting a shout-out. Shout-out to Cryer for playing very well at this tournament. But yeah, I think overall should mean that the qualifier teams are very strong, and that is, of course, a good thing.
I think that's the takeaway. Cryer snubbed, but I will say, like, overall, I don't think the chalk is undeserved, right? Like, even though it is a little boring and I have some disagreements about the votes here and there, I think, like, if you came to me and said, hey, I voted for Yukino for All-Pro, I'm not going to be like, you fucking idiot! No, like, I think it's reasonable. Like, I think Yukino had a pretty solid tournament, especially in the games that he played well. I think he played really well. So if you're going based off of player peaks, I mean, I can't really argue. Um, but yeah, it is. It's so funny. All backpack team, dude. When we did like 2 hours of spreadsheet math, and then we just Grapes happened to notice that this was left over, and we spent about 10 minutes laughing. So we just felt the need to share with the world, you know.
Yeah.
And especially this goes into how when we did Ole Miss's player cards, it was kills himself, gets in backpack, kills himself, kills himself. Looks like Icelandic is joining
Also
the
gets
gets
in
in backpack tier with Marty.
Yeah, the last quick thing, an interesting note. The only team to have all 5 players on an All-Pro ballot was Winthrop. So shout out to them. I know you mentioned in that last headline. I think that they could be very strong, and even though they lost in the semifinals, I think we're still expecting them to have a pretty solid performance. How crazy is it, by the way, that they're the 3rd seed again after all the hype that they had?
I
coming into
know.
this season?
It is crazy. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. Like, I think the narrative going into promotion is like Winthrop really has to prove it. I think they have a ton to prove in this promotion tournament because I know that these players are gonna be disappointed if they don't make it. And they see it as an expectation. I think a lot of eyes on the Eagles, and I don't mean to add pressure, but I do think that is the story, and it's gonna be really interesting to watch.
Yeah. We're going to talk a lot more about the promotion tournament in our next episode. Unfortunately, It will come out after the first round of games have concluded just because of how timing goes. But it should be all right because we'll get most of that out of the way and have a fun part 2 for you planned then. However, let's focus our attention back to the NACL Finals. And we have a special treat for you in our part 2. Instead of doing one interview with one of the finalists, we decided to talk to both finalists this time around. Hawk got to sit down with Sajed. I got to sit down with Niles. You'll see all of it here in our part 2.
I am joined by the 80 carry of FlyQuest Challengers, Sajed. Sajed, how are you doing today?
Doing amazing. Thanks for bringing me on.
Absolutely. It's great to have you on. I'm glad to hear that you're doing amazing because, my friend, you have a big weekend coming up, or I guess it's a big Monday, but going to be in studio at the LCS playing in the finals. What does it mean to be in the finals in your first Challengers League split?
It means a lot. I know I'm a bit carried, so I can't really say that. Like this is a, first debut and going straight to finals, but I'm still really excited to play, and I really hope we can win.
Yeah, as you should be. I mean, you call yourself carried. I don't. You've had some pop off moments this split. Don't sell yourself short, man. Like, you have any favorite memories from the split so far, or anything that you've really enjoyed about playing in Challengers?
Probably my first playoff series, the one versus AoE. That one was like a huge banger
Mm-hmm.
for like basically no reason, but that was probably my favorite memory. Like after winning, I think I was just spiked with adrenaline maybe for like 10, 15 minutes. I think my whole team everyone was kind of like feeling it, I guess.
That's awesome. That series I remember so vividly because I'm roommates with Joshi, right? So we were watching it on like the big screen in our apartment on the TV, and during that game 3, like our jaws were on the floor. It was that was a crazy series. It was so much fun to watch. But yeah, that's awesome. I'm glad that that one. I'm glad that was a good memory and not a bad memory going to the 3-game banger. I feel like maybe a weight off your shoulders when you guys managed to win it. But no, it was a lot of fun to watch. I am curious though because of course you are in your rookie split, right? And I'm sure there's been a lot of growth that has gone in. So I just want to ask like, how do you feel you've grown throughout the split on FlyQuest and where a lot of that has come from?
Yeah, I think I've been growing a lot as a player, just mainly about my comms and knowing more of what an 80 carry needs in the game. I think most
Mm-hmm.
of that comes from my coach and my support. They're really like, I'd say drilling it and then trying to get me like accustomed to talking like how an ADC should talk, like what they need. Because the way I've kind of just said like, I have prio, I don't have prio, like maybe I can get dove, maybe we can dive. Like not a lot of urgency and stuff I need to say, and not a lot of like want of what I need. So I think that's the biggest thing I've been growing on, and I think from the start of the split to now, I think I've improved on that a lot. And of course, I've been like getting my gameplay up, my lane phase, everything, trying to improve on that as well.
Yeah, let's dive into that a little bit more because playing with Chime, I mean, in my opinion, this is an LCS caliber support. What has it been like learning alongside him?
Yeah, I think he's definitely like an LCS player. It was a little rough at first because I think the ADCs he's played with before were very like more talkative than me, I guess. He played with Stixay, Wild Turtle, like the
Oh
experience gap is
yeah,
kind of huge.
yeah.
Like so Chime was kind of like he's listening to what they're doing and then like it's really different because I'm used to like listening to what my support's saying, so we had to fix that. It was a little rough at the start, but I think it worked well. He's been really patient. I mean, if I was Chime and I've had some stinkers in scrims, and like I'll just say that. And he doesn't. He's a nice guy. Like he's not tilting. So if I was in Chime's shoes, like I probably would have rage quit already. But it's amazing playing with him.
I feel like that's part of what comes with being a veteran, right? Like you've seen it all. You see the stakers. You see the good ones.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Look, if you're not having stakers and scrims, are you really testing the limits though? Like, let's be honest with ourselves.
Yeah. I mean, we could cope and say it's like limit testing.
Yeah, yeah. We
Yeah.
it's okay. We do a little coping here on Salty Runback. What is like your favorite like team memory? Like, is there a moment that with the players that you have that you've really enjoyed or anything?
I think it's hard because it's mainly online.
Right.
But I don't know. It's still the same like first playoff series. Like
Mm-hmm.
we all watched the games back after that AOE series. We're just like, oh, a lot of things should have went different, but it's like it's crazy that we still won. Like everyone was pretty amped. I think maybe Quad wasn't as hyped as everyone else was. I, and Quad was like kind of disappointed at saying us. Like, how did we go to 3 games versus them? That's kind of how Quad is. But yeah, I think like everyone was really like happy and excited. I'd say after that series, and it was probably a pretty good memory.
Yeah, that's great. There's always the one teammate that's like, guys, like, how did we let this happen? Like,
Yeah.
that's very funny. I'm curious. Do you think who on your team? MVP hasn't been announced yet, right?
No, I have no
No.
idea
Okay.
who it is.
Who on your team would you nominate for MVP?
What's like the classification for MVP?
I believe. Okay, so the exact criteria is the player that would win the most LCS games in the next 2 years.
Okay, that's a bit weird of a
It's very
criteria.
specific, but it's like not, it's like a little bit of like most valuable player, but it's also like, someone that's like developing into the LCS, I guess.
Okay, if that's the criteria, I think for sure Quad.
Hmm.
If he chooses to go LCS, I think he would for sure have the most wins. And then if it's like most valuable player, maybe Sheeden. Like if we're not getting this criteria in there,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's kind of crazy that Sheeden got All Pro 3. Uh, I don't know how that happens. I think he's like arguably the best player in the league. I don't. It's really crazy. I think there's some recency bias for the other two getting up there, but I don't know. He's a really good player.
That's fair enough. I mean, Shaden has definitely been popping off. I won't lie, I had him third on mine, but it was hard though. Jungle was really hard because I think Yuji, Kenvi, Shaden, all three of them had really, really good splits, so it was difficult to pick between the three of them for me. But no, I mean, there's definitely no denying that Shaden has been unreal. Another player that I would say at LCS level, I mean, yeah, so freaking good. But let's talk. Let's dive into the finals a little bit because coming up on Monday, live in studio on April 1st. For all the viewers out there, $5 tickets. You should go to the LCS studio. I'm gonna be there as a fan, having a good time. And Sajed, you were just telling me a couple minutes ago this is going to be your first time playing in studio. So tell me a little bit about how you're feeling going into the big match.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited. I don't know if I'll be nervous yet. Like I think for sure I'll be, but it's a little weird. Like this whole split, I've never really felt nervous, I'd say, except maybe like the first couple minutes of my first ever game versus DSG. I was like pretty nervous. Then we killed them bot level 3, and then like all the nerves went away. And then that with the series versus Fear in playoffs, For some reason, I was extremely nervous that series. I don't know what happened, and I
Mm.
kind of ran it down that whole series. So I'd say like for the most part, I don't get nervous that much, and I really hope I'm not gonna be nervous. Like my first time playing on stage, like I feel like for sure there might be nerves, but I'm hoping not. But I'm really excited to play.
Yeah. I mean, like, look, I'm sure there will always be some nerves playing on stage for the first time, that kind of thing. But nerves are good, right? And you only get to play on stage for the first time once, so enjoy it and have a good time, right?
Yeah, hopefully.
Hopefully. No, hey, I believe for sure, and I think it'll be a really good series. So I do have, where, like I said, Grapes, he's talking to Niles at some point, and that's gonna be like the other half of this part two. Do you have any words for your opponents, for Niles? Anything like any banter to throw out there before the match, or are we going in calm, cool,
Hmm.
collected?
Any banter. I mean, if I had to say something, it's we're playing on stage, right? Everyone's gonna be zero ping. Maryville has played this entire split on zero ping. They're gonna have to play against Quad, who's going from 60 to zero ping. So like, good luck to
Ooh,
them. So that's like if there's any banter, but I think we're all chill with the Maryville
ooh.
guys.
Okay, that's understandable. I feel like everyone generally in like tier 3, tier 2, like there's some good banter here and there, but they get along. Like in tier 3, this split, the best banter we've had has been between the collegiate guys. Like I don't know what it is about collegiate teams, man. They all hate each other, but no. Have you guys been like Wi-Fi warriors all split, or is it just specifically quad?
I think Chime has also been playing like 60 ping. Yeah,
Okay,
I don't know. And then me and Sheeden are like 30 ping, I think, and then
okay,
Surdy's zero ping as well. That guy's just living on the servers.
nice. That's nice. I was really happy, so I just moved out to Los Angeles, and when my ping was still only like 45 as opposed to like 70 or whatever, I was so relieved. I was like, oh my god, that's so nice. Wait, Sajid, are you? I'm just so curious now. Are you like East Coast or West Coast? Like, are you gonna be flying in for this?
Yeah. I'm East Coast. I'm in Massachusetts.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I grew up in like the DC area, so
That's
yeah,
cool.
yeah. When does the team get out here? Like, I would imagine this weekend or like Friday or something like that.
Yeah, it's weird. They're flying us out for literally 2 days. Like we're
Wow.
coming
Okay.
Saturday night, leaving Monday night.
That's a turnaround. Wait, leaving Monday night? You don't even get to like celebrate after if you win or anything?
I don't know when everyone's flights are. Mine's really early Tuesday morning. So
Oh, I mean,
basically Monday night.
oh, that dude. That's a bummer. I mean, I get it, but damn. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Pretty
best of
short trip.
luck. Yeah. I mean, hey, it's you get a couple days, I suppose, but dude, that's tough. I was like, I mean, oh, excuse me. Well, I woke up like 30 minutes ago, but so that's why I'm yawning. But no, I remember when I was out here for CLOL, it was a similar story where like they flew us out basically for exactly the days that they need us. But I was wondering if you get like an extra day or something. But oh
No.
well. Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna shift gears kind of like one more time, or actually before that to continue talking about finals. I like what are your expectations for the series, right? Like, how are we feeling specifically about going against Maryville, and how do we think the series is going to go best of 5?
If I'm being honest, I think every role except ADC, maybe we have better players. So so I know my job for this series, and yeah, I'm hoping it's a fast 3-0.
Oh, fast 3-0. I love I sarcastically love that confidence right there, man. Oh, but hey, fast 3-0. Okay, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not personally hoping for a fast 3-0 because that would be kind of a bummer from a viewership perspective, but it would be really good for you guys. So I can't
Yeah,
complain too much.
I could keep that in mind. Like maybe if we're winning too hard, I can toss some bones. If I'm having a bad game, just
Give us a
remember that's fine.
content game.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay, so if
yeah,
Sajid runs it down on stage, guys, he's doing it for content. That's what we need to remember, okay? It's
of
not
course. Yeah,
not
only
for any
reason
other
why.
reason. I love that. Oh, okay. And then I think the last major thing I have to ask for you is, of course, again, rookie split coming out of tier 3 last year, a tier 3 year where like you showed a lot of great flashes and everything, and I want to know like what has it been like making the jump to this level of play from tier 3, and would you have anything to say to people in tier 3 that are like maybe trying to do the same thing?
Yeah. At first, it kind of sucked. I think like I was going from, well, my last split in tier 3 was kind of weird because our team was kind of really boomed and we're playing with a support who could scrim once a week. So we were scrimming like literally bottom 16 OQ teams. So I'm going from like scrimming like those guys to now I'm like getting LCS scrims, top
Yeah.
NACL scrims. So it was a really big shift. Like the mindset of how to play, like in the hands were really different. It still is kind of like crazy to see that difference. So yeah, it kind of sucked, but I'm getting more used to it. And if I had to say anything, it's honestly it's just like play solo queue and try to get high in the ladder. Like I see a lot of amateur players in solo queue, even like in champs queue, they're just like for funning or quote unquote limit testing. Like that's their way of coping, going 0-20. But I mean, it does make a difference, I think, if you're high in solo queue. Even though I think the ladder is kind of a joke when most people think that, but getting high up in solo queue does mean a lot, I think.
Definitely helps get eyes on you, I would say. Do you feel in any way like you're following in the footsteps of Masu, who I think similarly to you was scouted out of tier 3 after like not being on a top team or anything? Like both of you had great moments, but weren't considered like the absolute peak teams or anything. So like do you feel in any way that's a similar trajectory for you?
Maybe. I think maybe my trajectory is a bit slower. I mean, when Masu first came into Academy, I think that guy was already really insane. And even like when I'm playing against him now, like this guy is definitely the best ADC like in the LCS. Like, and
Damn.
I've scrimmed like most of the LCS teams, and I could say like he's just the best. So I can't really say like I'm following his trajectory, but hopefully I am.
Hey.
Yeah, I think his starting point was a lot better. That's what I'll say.
Hey, there's always still time though. There's always still time. But yeah, Sajed, I mean, thank you so much for taking the time to sit down with me. Before I let you go, is there anything else that we didn't hit on that you want to talk about, or any shout outs that you want to give, anything like that?
Yeah, I just shout out my brother and my mom. They like watch all my matches. My mom doesn't know what's going on, but she like pretends to know what's going on. And my brother watches everything. He'll be there in LA with my other brother. So those are my shout outs. And thank you for bringing me on.
Yeah, absolutely. Dude, that's so relatable, by the way. I brought my dad to the LCS. He visited me in Los Angeles last weekend, actually. And he had no idea what was going on. But, like, he really tried. And I'm like, shout out, Dad. So, yeah, shout out your mom and your brother. And thank you so much, for joining me. It was really great to get a chance to chat. And, I mean, seriously, best of luck this weekend. I know I'll be rooting for you. And I think I know you're going to do a great job. Whether or not there's a content game in there, we know it's just for content. So
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Sajed, thanks again. And we'll either send it over to the other interview or to the outro, depending on what part of the show we're at.
Thank you so much.
I'm here with a Maryville University top laner who goes by many different names. Captain America, Maryville's worst player, I think you got called on an interview one time. It's Niles. What's like the I know you have gone through the different nomenclatures, but like what's the title or the nickname that you like the best right now?
Certainly self-proclaimed Maryville's worst player is that's what I like to go by. That is a self-proclaimed title, So
Yeah.
The All-Pro team also shows it, right? I was third team All-Pro along with Zyko, whereas everyone else was second or first. So I guess you can call me and Ryan both Maryville's bottom dogs.
But if you were gonna
across the room.
but if you're gonna break the tie, you would say Zyko gets the edge.
Oh, Zyko is much better than I am.
Hey, a humble king. That's what we love to see. Congrats on making the finals. Obviously, a bit of a wild last couple of months for you specifically. You were coaching for a little bit with Maryville in the fall during Q and during 66, and then end up deciding to come back and play top lane here for, I
Right.
think it's your last season. Do you want to talk about the decision-making process and what led to you coming back to the Rift for the NACL 2024 split?
Oh yeah. I mean, it was really funny because like I had no plans, honestly, on returning. It was like Clerky, our director, came to me in December and was like, "What if we did this? Like, what if?" Because like the plan was to basically hire me on as the full-time um, coach, right? Head coach, because I had graduated in December. But Maryville doesn't do hiring until June 1st. That's when the budget's reset yearly. So there wasn't an option for me to get hired on full time until June 1st. And so Dan was like, "What if before then you start your masters and so you're eligible to try out and play?" I was like, "Okay, sure. Like I'll do that, but like I'm not expecting even to like even have to like make the team because Jalal was still playing top of the time, and I think Jalal was a sufficient. That's Spyrex. He was an adequate top laner, and so we did the trial process, and it was pretty unanimous that they wanted me to be the starting top. So then that moves Jalal down to mid lane, and you go from there, right? But I was
Yeah.
not expecting this. Took me a solid 2 months to ramp my play back up after taking a break for like 4.5 months or so. So yeah.
In a way, is this your way of kind of still doing anything for the team? I know you kind of want it to be like that coaching mentor role, and I guess you're still doing that a little bit here, but
Yeah.
just making sure that Maryville's in the best position possible.
Yeah, I mean, this is sort of a legacy at this point. Like well, the first year I joined Maryville in 2019, that's when we won CLOL, right?
Right.
And ever since then, we've been competing at the highest level available to us. It used to be collegiate teams were ineligible to play in the tier two events, so we would be, top two, top three of tier three, playing against a lot of really great players. And then now that the first split that it was available for us to make tier two, I wanted to make it a point to be the first collegiate team to make it. We qualified as a team, and then now I'm hoping to be the first person to be in collegiate and win tier two. And I think if we do that, then it will be a long time before any other team is able to accomplish that, in my opinion.
I know you're not anywhere close to that level right now, but the promotion tournament's starting right after the finals on Monday, and Ole Miss and Winthrop are both going to be competing there. Just real quick, do you have any thoughts about if they could potentially make it in? And I know right now you guys are playing at an insane level right now, but what does that say for the state of collegiate compared to where it was before?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not super familiar, except for watching the games. I've watched the playoff series for the open qualifiers. I haven't paid much attention to the group stage. I think that just because of the fact that only two teams make it out of the six, I still think that Mirage will probably retain their spot. I think they'll be strong enough, but the second spot, I really don't think Lit will be able to bring it home. So I can definitely see either CCG or Winthrop or Ole Miss taking it. I don't know. Blue Otter, they got smacked
A little
in the
bit,
playoffs.
yeah.
So yeah. So maybe they're like not peaking at the right time. I think it's very important. Maybe they peaked during the first open qualifier, but I think honestly it's pretty competitive. CCG obviously took the finals pretty handily, but they were shaky earlier.
Yeah.
I think anyone could take the second spot probably away from Lit because when I look at Lit, I'm like pound for pound. A lot of the OQ teams, including Winthrop, Ole Miss,
Yeah.
and CCG, are just pound for pound better in my opinion. So that's my thoughts. I think on the promotion tournament.
Hey, Dragoon's got the magic 2 splits in a row. Maybe he pulls it through again. Who knows?
I'm not. Dragoon's not the problem with that team.
All right.
That's all I'm saying.
Let's go back to Maryville real quick. You guys, I think the expectations and compared to the reality were actually very different in terms of where people had you guys at the start of the season versus where you are now, obviously in the grand finals. Part of it probably was because people weren't sure if UG and Spyrex were going to be playing and where exactly that would be. But as you guys kept having success throughout the regular season, was there any thought in your mind of like, oh, are we like overperforming, or was this the kind of level of play that you knew you boys were capable of?
I think it wasn't even a thought on like if we're underperforming or overperforming. It just sort of our whole mindset and philosophy has just sort of been just play League of Legends and and play it well. I think the people who are involved in the leadership of the team, like we're all very smart players. So we're just sort of playing League and it feels really good. And we're just concerned about that. We're just concerned about, okay, does it feel good when we're playing together? Are we making good decisions? Are we playing good League? It definitely was like I think our expectations going in, if I'm recalling a conversation, to be like a top three would be like sufficient, and anything besides that would probably be a disappointment. So we had high aspirations, especially because like after we scrimmed all the teams, all of them were like, "You guys are really good. Like we are getting humbled, like playing against you guys." I'm like, "Really?" And then we keep scrimming other teams. We're like, "Wow, yeah, I guess we are better. I guess we are better than them." But it was sort of like surprising. We were like expecting it to be a dogfight, but especially even at the very beginning of the season when we started scrimming, we sort of expected to be like, "Oh, we're probably gonna get rolled like for a week or two." These teams have been playing in like the fall leagues and all this sort of stuff, but we were pretty much yeah, we're doing really well. It was funny. We were scrimming Fear one day, and
Yeah.
in the middle of the scrim set, Chat Jungle tweets out Maryville's winning NACL like mid scrim set. I think they had to like remake a game or something. They're like, nah, Maryville's winning it all. That was a
That's
couple weeks ago.
that's
And
how you
so
know you truly inflicted the mental damage, right? You got the
I know
tweet mid scrim set. Wow.
no, that's what we were thinking about in the lower that's what I was thinking about, at least in the lower bracket when we played
Yeah.
against them in the elimination match. I was like, we've already got the mental
You
edge.
got the mental
So
edge, yeah.
yeah.
I want to touch on that actually a little bit because I think to the surprise of many, after your really strong regular season, you dropped your first series, headed down into the lower bracket, and since then it's kind of been a bit of a role for you guys. A lot of pretty strong series. There was that reverse sweep that you had to pull out, but then followed immediately by that 3-0 you had over TL to send yourself to the finals.
Right.
What was that journey kind of like? The roller coaster of emotions, and I guess somebody with a lot of experience were you somebody who was able to help maybe some of the younger players settle in and make sure to stay focused?
Yeah, I mean, this is one thing that I've been working on with Jerry for a while, is like getting him settled in a series and getting him comfortable and like making his job very easy. I think this is one thing especially that Yuji helped with in the middle of the DSG series, is just like saying like, guys, just like slow the game down. We don't have to like fight for fun or fight when we're not around objectives. Like just get to the objective, get a team fight, let us get set up, like we will win, you know? So I think Yuji has a big role to play as well in that reverse sweep. I think it shows also with the comp that we chose to go with in game three, where we just played like a Jace Maokai comp.
Right.
Like it's just something that's very slow. You chill, you throw saplings, you throw poke. It's a very controlled game when you play that. And so I think yeah, probably me and Yuji had a big voice, and especially helping Jerry and Zyko just to settle in. It's all right, guys. Like it's I guess it's their first really high stakes playoff series,
Yeah.
versus Disguised. So for sure.
I guess, yeah, for NACL at least. I know you guys have been to like CLOL semis and things like that, but it was pretty high stakes.
Yeah.
You guys made it. Made it
Yeah,
happen.
yeah. I was also thinking just like tier two wise, because like I had played on Golden Guardians making a lower
Right.
bracket run. We run like I think 4 or 5 best ofs in a row, and then Yuji and Spyrax obviously they played on FlyQuest together, and so they've made for lower bracket runs before. But this is the first like really good team that Jerry and Zyko have been on, like in the lower bracket elimination
Yeah.
matches, like playing tier two. I guess that's the point I was trying to make. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I guess talking about that experience you have and delivering it to some of your newer players on the team. Obviously, you were in that coaching position before. You've kind of taken on a leadership mentality, it seems, for this split. Do you still have like a coaching role on this team, or is there somebody else kind of calling the shots as well?
Oh yeah, I mean certainly like I'm the one who's like leading the review, but I'm not the one who has like an authoritative final say regardless of what anyone else says, if that makes sense.
Right.
Like I'll be the one like leading most of the things we have to do, even outside of the game, inside of the game, like just making sure everything is getting done that we need to improve. But there is no like, okay, if Niles says it, then it's gonna go. Like Yuji and I, this is one of the things that we had to work out because sometimes we see things differently. So like just figuring out a system that works for the two of us while we're in game. Like, okay, this is when we like, if we have conflicting calls, like we'll do this to settle it like quickly in the game, like which call we're going to go for, stuff like that. So I'm definitely not, I'm an authority figure, but I'm not a dictator. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
yeah. What's that
yep.
kind of path been like for you? Because I'm just thinking back to like a couple of years ago when you went straight from tier 3 to tier 1 over to GG for a split. You were like the new kid on the block in the LCS, and now coming back here to the NACL Finals, you've grown a lot in terms of just like a player and I guess as a leader as well. Do you want to speak to how that change has been and what it's like to see this like new generation of MU kids come up and help and you can help them out?
Yeah, I think it's been a really interesting journey because I think the same things, like I think it's a very interesting journey actually because I think the meta when I first joined Golden Guardians was like extremely in my favor. Like that was like my meta at the end of 2021. So like a lot of people would be like, "Oh, why did they pick him up?" It's because like I was really good at that, and then the meta changes, right? We're
Yeah.
going to spring split. Certainly, suddenly Renekton and Gnar are like the most OP champs with Gore Drinker, right? And like Gragas top lane, which is like I cannot play that champion, right?
Well, times have
And
changed clearly.
yeah, a bit putting on some Gragas, except for when I played versus Tenacity, he sort of took my lunch money, and
Yeah.
that wasn't good. But the point that I'm making is like I think the meta has a heavy impact on like the role that I play in a team, if that makes sense. So like I always tell Ryan that if Camille's ever meta, like we're going to Worlds, like we're going straight to Worlds because that's
Right.
what champion I'm really good at. I'm really good at pulling the trigger. So I think one thing that I've been learning is just like maybe if I'm playing an Ornn or a Gragas, how to take the back seat and set up my teammates. That's one thing that has grown, especially over the past 2 years. I think the past two AD carries that I've played with have been like extremely bot centric with Jerry and Azog. I think they're both like very, very bot centric. Same with Psycho. They like to play around bot. So my growth has really been around learning to how I can best supplement them. And I think you'll see that a lot in the playstyle that I've adopted where I'm roaming a ton. Like more than any other top laner in the league, you'll see that I am leaving lane and like I'm willing to TP to bot. I'm willing to lose a plate or two to move to mid to get the enemy mid splash and like these types of things, which is like I also think that's one of the reasons why I was voted for the third team All Pro is because like if you look at my stats, like I'm usually down in CS,
Right.
I think. But if you look at the games, like if I'm losing a wave to kill the enemy mid, that's pretty good. That's really good for Jalal, especially. Or TPing bot to lose 2 plates. That's really good for bot lane, right? These types of things. So I think that's one area that's been a huge point of growth from playing GP and just like sitting back and playing 2 items, playing for myself to like picking the Cassante, picking the Ornn, picking the Gragas, these types of things. Yeah.
Yeah, and you still gotta let him know every once in a while. You could whip it out. Yeah, as you said, if Camille's back in meta, we know it's over.
That's right. Or the Kinnan, you gotta show him I can still blind pick the Kinnan. I had to.
Yeah, you got it against TL. It ended up working pretty well that game 3.
Yep.
Let's talk about your opponents real quick for FlyQuest Challengers. Obviously, top 2 teams in terms of regular season. You guys played them, I think, week 3 or 4 of the regular season, and it was a very close series. Ended up being a 2-1 in their favor. In what ways do you think you guys have improved, or some stuff that you might have worked on that makes you maybe feel more confident coming into this rematch? Because you guys surprisingly haven't played each other in the playoffs.
Yeah, I know. I think that was really interesting. It was actually really funny because if you see how the playoffs went, they almost lost to AoE in a game 3. And so we could have potentially played them right after Supernova if they had dropped, which is just, it's funny part of history, right? To think that they could have dropped down. But I think one thing that we've really improved on is our team fighting. I think this has been shown consistently and like how we are able to dig deep in these long best of series. Because like if you watch the regular season, we are consistently up like 2,000 gold at 14 minutes, like pretty consistently. But if you watch the playoff series, like versus TL, for example, I think we were down gold every single game. And then we ended up out team fighting them every single game to bring the game back after losing early game. So I think that's been a huge area of improvement for us, like really thinking about how we want to fight with our comp. That's a huge thing, like having that conversation in the game, like, okay, this is the condition that we need to meet to win a fight. And then executing on it, that's definitely the biggest area of improvement that we've had across this season.
Yeah, even think back to the last series where first 2 games against TL, you guys were down pretty big, and then just end up coming back. And I guess that's something that maybe old Maryville you think would not have been able to do?
Oh, definitely not. No, I think I mean whenever you win a game at 50 minutes versus Smolder, you're
Yeah.
definitely team fighting better than the enemy team.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
right? Like so like Jerry especially, this is one thing that he's hugely stepped up on, and then me and Jalal on like how we set up flanks and play around our flanks is like another huge area of improvement. I think the TL series really speaks to that.
Headed back to LA. I know last time you were there, it didn't end the way that you wanted to in that grand
Yeah.
finals. Um, how much does it mean to you to be able to come back potentially in what could be one of your last splits playing for Maryville and taking home a title?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I do it for my teammates. Like, I, I, the reason why I'm playing is because they wanted me to play, right? Like after the trial process, they wanted me to be the top laner. So like, I take that energy and I give it back to them. Like, I always tell like Jerry and Yuji and Ryan, Joel doesn't need to hear it, but
Right.
like, I'm doing it for them. So like, this is like part of being a team is like all my motivation is not like for myself. It's for Maryville and it's for especially I mean especially for Yuji. Like I'm doing it especially for Yuji. This finals is especially for him. So like it motivates me because he's so good to play better and to be up to his level, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I know there's the rumblings of maybe getting that MVP in there. I know it's not announced just yet, but seeming like a pretty good prospect, and I'm sure you would agree.
Yeah, it's I'd say it's between two people for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, um, I know that I don't want you to speak in absolutes or anything here, Niles, as we wrap this up, but after this split, kind of what are your plans? What are you up to? Are we going to see Niles in CLOL again and make one last run for the title, or are things going to be changing up? I don't want you to leak
Uh,
anything, but
no, no. I mean, like I was saying before at the beginning of the interview, like the plan was to hire me on June 1st, and that is still the plan for me to be the head coach, head of recruitment, a lot of getting more involved in the management side of esports here at Maryville. Um, that's the plan right now, but you know what they say. Plans don't always go like I think they think they're gonna go. So I'm open to anything. I don't even know if like we're actually looking at right now top laners we can get to play next summer split for NACL. That's gonna have a huge impact on like whether or not I'm playing NACL summer. Is like, okay, well if we can't get these three top laners that we really want, then our team probably can't make the finals again, right?
right.
So I'm not gonna say this NACL split is my last one, but I would say with very high confidence, this is my last CLOL split. Like very high confidence, but I guess you never know what's gonna happen.
So real quick, I know they haven't announced a date for top four, top eight, whatever it is, but that could go into June. Are you gonna ask Clerky to delay signing your contract for a little bit to let you play that last week, or is that not gonna be how it works?
I don't believe that there is a restriction on a non-collegiate affiliate event like NACL for employment at Maryville. I think the only exclusion would be for a collegiate event. So I
Right.
think I would still be eligible to play NACL, and I think I'm still eligible to play the CLOL.
Just for like the semester as a whole, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, I
Okay.
think I think I'm still eligible, and if I'm not eligible, then we'll delay
We'll
signing.
delay it. Yeah, we'll hold off for a
We'll
little
delay
bit.
signing.
Hey, we
Yeah,
don't know
so
the full schedule just yet, but at least we know we're gonna be seeing
I
you
know.
until Maryville gets knocked out.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of crazy we don't have the schedule. We need to announce the dates and the venue, please, Ryan. If you're listening to
Hey,
this, announce
amen,
it.
brother. I'm
Yeah,
right with you.
right.
Yeah. Niles, thank you very much. I don't want to get ourselves in too much trouble here, so we're gonna wrap this up right now. Final predictions before we wrap this up. How many games how many games you gonna take to win? And I guess you're gonna crown an MVP prediction for the finals. What do you think?
Um, I think that the finals versus FlyQuest are going to hinge a lot around top lane. So I think I'm quite confident to meet the task, and I also think that we have good draft plans versus FlyQuest. So I do think that we'll take the series. I think Fearless in a live environment is going to make things really crazy.
Yeah.
So how we adapt to that is going to be a huge part in securing the win. But I do think we'll take it. I think there's no way either team 3-0s each other. I think they would say the same. I don't think if they say anything other than that, then that's real Kappa. I
I
think
did
both
hear
teams.
I did hear
Mhm.
word. Sajed said it was gonna be a 3-0. So I mean, if you want to
Oh my
respond to that
goodness.
real now.
Well, I'll just say that the smallest dogs bark the loudest, Jed, and you must be really confident in quad to drag your dead body across the finish line if you think it's going to be a 3-0, because it's not going to be because of you if you 3-0 us, buddy. That's all I got to say.
Oh my gosh. All right. All right, some shots fired by Niles to wrap things up.
Yeah, so I think it'll be a 4 or 5 game series, and then Fearless will be really, really interesting. I'm really looking forward to the event. I think both teams are looking forward to a competitive event. And we'll play after LCS Finals as well, the day after, right? That's pretty cool. Yeah, play in the studio. That's another thing, right? That's the studio factor. Is let's see, have any of them ever won a playoff series in the studio? I don't think they have.
I'm trying to think. Maybe Chime did when he was in LCS, but I don't even know if that's true.
I don't think he did.
All right. Well, maybe that's your advantage right now.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be yelling at Sajed across the stage too. So we'll see if he breaks down and starts shaking on stage. So we'll see what happens.
We'll keep that in mind. Hey, Niles, thank you so much for talking to me. Best of luck. Safe travels out to Los Angeles, and thank you very much for talking to me.
See ya.
Thank you very much to Sajed and Niles for sitting down with us. We got a little banter at the end. Niles calling out Sajed a little bit for his 3-0 prediction, but I think it's good that we this time got to talk with both of the finalists. And I'm interested to see both of their perspectives, and I'm excited to watch them face off tomorrow, or Monday, I guess, at the LCS Arena.
Yeah, dude. I mean, we're in for a treat. LCS Finals are going to be great. NACL Finals are going to be great. The promotion tournament is going to be a bloodbath as we mourn some of our favorite teams that we have followed for many, many, many weeks at this point. The split is coming to a close, but I mean, this is what it's all about right here, right now for all the marbles.
And remember, we're not going anywhere on Salty Runback, at least just yet, as after the promotion tournament, we've got CLOL to catch up with, as well as some off-season stuff to take care of. So make sure you stick around, follow us on our Twitch channel, as well as all of our socials, because we will have content coming out for the remainder of spring and beyond. But Hawk, that's just about does it. Happy birthday again, and we're excited for finals week.
Oh, yes. Yes, we are. Thank you for the birthday wishes. Shout out everyone on Twitter and elsewhere that wished me a happy birthday. Always appreciated. But yeah, it's going to be a great week, and probably similar to, we talk about end of the season, probably similar to last year. I don't know how consistent our episode uploads will be over the off season, but they'll sprinkle in here and there. And of course, we'll definitely have one next week for promotion tournament regardless. And with CLO coming up, I'm sure we'll have things to talk about moving forward. But hey, if you want to know when our episodes are coming out, because we've been a little bit inconsistent about that this year, you should follow us on all of our social media. Follow at Speedy Graves, because he's honestly the best one at talking about scheduling things. Follow at Hawkcast, and follow at Salty Runback Pod, where we occasionally say relevant things, mostly so you know when the episodes are coming out on Salty Runback. And of course, stay up to date with the Twitch streams. Like Graves said, we're going to be doing a bunch of CLO streams still as the regional playoffs play out. And who knows what's going to happen with CLO Championship. I mean, there's probably going to be some sort of stream, but we'll be involved in that in some way, hopefully. But that's going to do it here for episode 45. Oh my God. That's crazy that we've come this far. But I've been Hawk. That's been Grapes. If you think that that it's not going to be 3-0 in finals one way or the other, you can take what we said with a grain of salt. See you next time.